may be the greatest catch I've ever seen in my life.
Okay guys, I am so excited for this video, and it's because y'all know I usually never do promotions. I never do anything of the sort. Really, whenever I bring up a website, I always have to say, hey, this is not an ad, this is not anything. But now we finally have one, and it's because I found something that I think this audience is really going to enjoy, and that is Thrive Fantasy, where they are actually pushing out some major fantasy baseball contests to start opening day. And because they're trying to, I mean, they're essentially begging y'all to sign up to play on opening day. They are giving away money for free. So y'all need to take advantage. Now, I'm going to leave a link down in the description of the video as well in the comment section. Go through that link, use the promo code FLOCK, and when you do, you're going to be eligible for up to a $50 deposit bonus, I believe. And to go along with that, they're actually doing a free roll tournament with everybody who has signed up with the promo code FLOCK. They're giving away $1,000. So please guys, make sure you'll go down there, go through that link, use promo code FLOCK if you want to be eligible for the $1,000 free roll. But anyway, what we are going to be doing in this video is we are going to be going through and looking at some fantasy baseball players that are kind of all about their projections right now. A lot of these guys don't necessarily have the large sample of success that we can look at and go, you know what? They are probably going to maintain this level. They're going to be safe investments. These are a little bit more boom bust type players, and we're going to try to evaluate if we think that they are worth the draft pick that they are going at, or if you should be avoiding them. But as always, go down there, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and more importantly, go to the comment section. And whenever I say anything stupid in this video, let me know why I'm stupid, what we can improve going forward, and most importantly, let me know what you are thinking about these players yourself. But the first player we are going to be bringing up is going to be Beau Bichette, who right now is going at the very end of the second round in fantasy baseball drafts. He's going at pick 24 in high stakes leagues, and pretty much the same in Yahoo formats as well. So across every league, he is going at that 2-3 turn. So I will say, before we dive into it, this has been a range of the draft that I've talked about multiple times, saying I really don't like a lot of guys here. I mean, once you get that drop off after the mid-second round in fantasy baseball drafts this season, I'm looking at the late second all the way until almost the late third, pretty much being one flat tier where it's saying, hey, go get your guy. They're pretty much all in the same range. I've already been on record saying over Beau, I prefer a player going like 6-7 picks after, like a Xander Bogaerts. But here, anyway, Beau's someone that has a ton of upside, only 23 years old for the Toronto Blue Jays, playing shortstop, obviously. And if we are going through and we are looking at what he has done so far in his major league career, it's been very impressive. I will give him that. At an extremely young age, he has been impressive. Now, I will warn y'all, it's on a very small sample size, so obviously that's something that we're going to have to take into consideration. He's only had 319 major league at-bats, but in those at-bats, he's been able to have 307 for his batting average, a 347 on base percentage, a 549 slugging. So here, overall, very impressive. And to throw on top of this, he has had 8 stolen bases. So that is really what's pushing him up into this late second round range, because we know it's so hard to get those stolen bases, and they are very important for those 5x5 roto leagues. Now, if we go over and if we look at what he's done so far in spring training, now yes, I will say, very small sample, and it's spring training, really does not matter. What he has done so far in those 319 at-bats through his major league career, they are way more important than what he has done at spring training. This is just the tiniest piece of information to see if he is trending in the right direction. And so far, he's had 41 at-bats, and he's had a batting average at 293, an on-base percentage at 396, and a 512 slugging. Now, obviously, these numbers are going to be hard to project right over because they're off that small sample. But what we can do is we can go to a website, and where this is not an ad, this is from RotoChamp. And why I like looking at RotoChamp is they're a website that goes across a ton of different fantasy baseball sites and kind of takes an accumulative projection system from so many different sites. So RotoChamp is a very useful tool when you're trying to look at these players. And we go through and we see that they have him for 582 at-bats, a 282 average, a 331 on base percentage, a 481 slugging, 24 stolen bases, and they have him ranked as the 17th most valuable player in fantasy baseball. Now, yes, this has a lot to do with the 24 stolen bases. You cannot overlook that, especially if you're playing in those roto leagues. Now, if you're playing in a head-to-head points league, there it's going to be a little bit different. There, I think we can look at it and go, you know what, he's probably a little lower than this. But I will say, just because it's so early on in fantasy baseball drafts, in my preferred style, I prefer on waiting with those guys that have very high upside but a little bit of a lower floor. I would prefer to be looking for that range of a player later on in the draft, possibly the 4th, 5th, 6th round rather than the 2nd. I think we would be avoiding Beau, but please let me know what y'all are thinking, because I promise y'all probably know more than I do. All right, so now our second player that we are going to be getting to is someone that is intriguing, because I told y'all to avoid him earlier on this offseason, but there have been signs pointing to we may be wrong on that. Now, this is Kyle Tucker for the Houston Astros. I'll say first thing we want to address is the fact that when you're playing for the Astros, it's going to be a lineup that we want to avoid. Don't necessarily love the projections for the amount of runs scored from this lineup. Now, he is only 24 years old, and he's going in the middle of the 3rd round. He's the 29th player off the board. And with Kyle Tucker, it's going to be kind of harder to evaluate him, because we go through and we look at his major league career so far, where he's played 3 seasons. He's been obviously sent up and down from the minors. And in those 3 years, he's accumulated 340 at-bats with a 244 average, a 306 on-base percentage, and a 459 slugging. Now, yes, those numbers look very bad, but we have to understand that he's developing. He's still continuing to develop his craft. And if we go over to his minor league statistics, I don't want to look at everything because he's in the minors at 18 years old. How relevant is that at this point when he's 24 now? What I'd prefer to do is let's just look at AAA, because when he's in AAA, that's a little bit later on in his career. And over this sample size, we actually have a decent amount of at-bats. We have 870 at-bats, so it's a completely fair thing to look at. He has a 297 average, a 375 on-base percentage, a 571 slugging, and 50 stolen bases. So now we go through and we go, okay, yes, he was a stud in AAA, but what is RotoChamp projecting for him in 2021? Now, they currently have him for 566 at-bats with a 260 average, a 327 on-base percentage, and a 479 slugging. And now I know a lot of people are asking, how the hell is this player going in the middle of the 3rd? If these are his projections, seems like he is being significantly overvalued. But you have to look at the fact 22 stolen bases projected for Kyle Tucker so far this season. And we go through what he's done in spring training so far, and I want to put the disclaimer out there. Yes, this is such a small piece. A lot of people will just completely overlook it, and it's fair to overlook it. I just like spring training baseball. I want to give a quick shout out to his 37 at-bats that he's had in 2021, a 297 average, a 409 on base percentage, and a 405 slugging. So here with Kyle Tucker, a very similar situation to Beau. I can't get behind drafting him in the middle of the 3rd. I would definitely prefer a pitcher like Max Scherzer. I would prefer a shortstop like Xander Bogaerts, someone that we have that large sample size of success. I mean, if we've had one player that has hit 3 years consecutive of these same projections and they are still kind of in their prime, like a Xander Bogaerts, why would you be going and drafting a player who is yet to do so and hoping he hits these projections? So Kyle Tucker, I want to say avoid, but the one problem I have, guys, is I'm completely honest with y'all in saying that the players drafting at the NFC, they know more than I do. The players that are putting up hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars for their fantasy baseball drafts, I think on average, that player is going to be smarter than what I can provide for you. But we look at them and we look at Yahoo ADP. So Yahoo, I'm assuming that's a little bit more of the casual fantasy baseball player, a little bit more of the guy that's doing this for fun rather than trying to make a significant amount of money from it. They are actually drafting Kyle Tucker a little bit later on, like I'm advising. So we have to sit here and we have to go, maybe I'm overlooking something. Maybe we need to put this disclaimer out that people that are smarter than me are saying, hey, Kyle Tucker is worth the price in the middle of the 3rd. So we cannot straight up ignore that. All right, so now our last player we're going to be talking about is the most exciting player, in my opinion, because he's not going to cost you a second or a third round pick. This is going to be Vlad Jr. Here, this is what I was talking about. When we were talking about players that you want to target that have the upside, yes, they have some downside risk, but to go along with this, we know they're not going to be costing that premium pick. And here with Vlad Jr., he's only 22 years old. Seems like we've been talking about him for a couple years now. First baseman for the Toronto Blue Jays. Now we go through and we look at what he did in 2019, because in 2019 he actually had a much larger sample than these other players, where he had 464 at-bats, a 272 average, a 339 on base percentage, and surprisingly the slugging was down there at 433. I was expecting that number to be a little bit higher. But if we go over to his minor league career, I mean, we were talking about Kyle Tucker being an impressive prospect, but no, Vlad Jr., a 331 batting average, a 414 on base percentage, and a 531 slugging. Now, this is extremely, extremely impressive. And if we go over to what RotoChamp is currently projecting him, they have him as the 43rd player in terms of straight up value. And they're projecting 562 at-bats, a 290 average, a 356 on base percentage, and a 498 slugging. Now, I will say with Vlad Jr., the one problem is you're not going to be racking up stolen bases, but he's a first baseman. Are you really expecting that from so many other players? All right, so to summarize this video, yeah, these guys have upside, but really the only guy that I'm probably going to be willing to make the investment into is going to be a Vlad Jr., yet signs point to the fact that Kyle Tucker may be a decent investment in the third round. I'm just not smart enough to see why. If you are, go to the comment section and let me know what I'm missing. But thank you guys. Really hope you all enjoyed the video, and have a great day.